Guys, we are two Dynamite Dudes going live. My voice is low. My baby's asleep. So we're going to do the MVR version of this. Dominic, what's going on, man? What a damn episode.
Jeez Louise. And you know what? It's a happy birthday to us, right?
1 year, Dominic.
1 year to the day.
Since the most important day of your life.
It's a happy birthday to us, right? Uh-oh. 1 year.
Dominic, this bullshit again.
I fixed it.
You are the fucking worst. But I'll tell you what was not the worst, Dominic. This program of Dynamite, we're going to do like a pretty abbreviated version of the program here tonight. Unfortunately, we're doing this on a weeknight because Dominic's got to run to Philadelphia to go see MLW. And Battle Riot 3, baby. Who you got for Battle Riot, Dom?
Cool. Going with my boy Hammerstone. You know, it's the only way he can get the title right now.
Gotta be Hammer.
It's got to be our boy Hammer. So he's who I'm going. But I interviewed Davey Richards today, who is making his return to the ring at MLW Battle Riot to face TGP. He is also in the Battle Riot, though. So.
My goodness. Nesha, hey, what's up? Thanks for joining us. Benjamin, thank you for joining us. Black is in AEW, Dominic.
Yeah.
Let's just jump right in it. So Alistair Black is in AEW, Dom. We had a little blackout during the opening match, and you told me it was an electrical issue. I think it was intentional. I think they cut the damn lights, Dom. You lied to me.
I am insulted. You're my brother. I'm supposed to trust you.
I trusted you. But no, so I thought it was awesome. I do think that David, what's up, man? I do think that the Blue Meanie made a really good point on Twitter. I'm sure you probably saw it, where he was like, would have been way better if like he announced himself that his name was now Malakai Black instead of Excalibur being like, oh my God, this guy came out of nowhere, but he's calling himself Malakai Black.
Just so you know, it's not Tommy End anymore.
He's not Tommy End. Not Alistair Black. He's now Malakai Black.
Dude, I popped for it so bad, though. It was like, you know, I mean, I'm a big Alistair Black guy. And I've mentioned that several times on here. And I thought he was like the number one get for AEW. And sure enough, they got him. And a little bit early, too, obviously, huh?
If ever there's been somebody who kind of like scratches that same itch as a character like The Undertaker, maybe Kane, like I think this guy can do it, man.
Yeah, well, he doesn't even need like mystical power stuff either.
No, but just like the same like kind of menacing, scary dude vibe. I think he fits the bill. Dominic, I think Nesh is bringing up a really good point here, and something that's it's kind of been lost in all this is it has not been 90 days since he's been released by WWE. Do you know what's going on? I don't.
Absolutely, I do, because I am a journalist. Okay, Ugh. I am aware of all this, the ongoings of what happened. So according to PW Insider. And I believe Dave Meltzer also corroborated on this, was that WWE made a guffaw, if you will. They happened to... A gaff, is that it?
I think it is.
Whatever. Who writes words, says all that stuff?
You're supposed to.
Listen, so they made a gaff and happened to... So Alistair Black was still... under his NXT contract. And back then, when they got signed NXT, they didn't have a 90-day clause. They had a 30-day clause.
Oh, boy.
WWE did not make those amends. So it so happened that you might have remembered seeing maybe like last week or something, rumors that like WWE wanted Alistair Black back and all that kind of thing. That's probably why. Because they realized
that they fucked up.
They fucked up. And so, sure enough, here he is.
So who lost their job on the WWE end of things here?
Boy, I don't know. There's who's going to, I mean, that's the thing is like with WWE, it's just, you know, everybody, you know, says certain things about like AEW making mess ups or whatever, or any promotion making mess ups. But look at how many times WWE, a big corporate business, you know, that has all these layers and everything like that, they mess up a lot. And even today, there was an interview with Buddy Murphy with Fightful. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, where Buddy Murphy revealed that they thought it was him that only had the 30-day non-compete clause. And
oh, wow.
he was like, no, I have a 90-day non-compete. So
this is going to be one of those things that, like, 15, maybe 20 years from now, we're going to be hearing an insider's perspective on like a Conrad Thompson podcast, where it's just like, somebody dropped a major ball here, AEW picked it up and ran with it, and man, it honestly could not have gone any better.
Yeah, no, it really couldn't, man. Like, nobody, I don't think, expected that to happen at Road Rager.
No, no, absolutely not. I mean, they talk about coming out of left field. Nesh is saying it here. They got us good, and they did. I mean, I was blown away. So I wasn't watching live. Dominic was texting me. He was like, "Holy shit, dude, are you watching?" I'm like, "No, do not tell me anything. I'm staying off Twitter." And lo and behold, it was just like this major shock, incredible moment. Dominic, we've got a pretty abbreviated podcast here, so let's start talking about some of the other moments too. What did you think of that strap match to start the show?
I thought it was a good opener. Yeah, I was kind of surprised. That we were kind of thinking like QT was maybe going to win, right? Because it just,
I thought so too, because Cody just had a baby, and
baby. So it's like. But yeah, I thought it was a good opener to kind of fire off a live new show at, on like Dynamite back on the road and everything like that. So why not start it off like that, kick it off like that? So, it's strap matches have been, I've seen a couple of them over the past few months. And, so it's like kind of used to them at this point, I guess. But it was still a good way to kick it off. I thought it's like classic and, paying homage to his dad and all that kind of thing. And just a good opener, I thought.
I thought it was cool. I like that AEW does this kind of Southern wrestling stuff every once in a while, like this like Southeastern shit, that like classic Dusty Rhodes territory kind of gimmicks. Just because it's cool, because we constantly in AEW see like this new style of wrestling, right, where it's like all this high flying crazy maneuvers, like spectacle stuff, but like it's cool when sometimes they can ingratiate the two, right? So where we've got like old school Southern wrestling Jerry Jarrett shit going on,
yeah,
and then we've also got Cody doing a crazy springboard Cody cutter.
Yeah, that was a great move too. It was pulled off they worked very well together. QT.
Absolutely, dude. Nesha was calling it. She said she expected Cody the whole time. I really thought QT was going to go over here. I was like, okay, he needs to get a win to establish himself. Cody just had a baby. It just makes sense. So if I'd have laid money down, I'd have lost it. Oh, Nesha, she knows about Southern wrestling, Dominic. She's in
Mississippi.
That's right. Wrestling with an R down there. Wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling.
Benjamin saying now NXT will probably fix their contracts in 90 days, but very interesting.
I think they already did. I think that was like Alistair Black was still under his original NXT contract, and they never made that amendment. So I think that's long fixed at this point. So like somebody, not that it's happening obviously, but if Adam Cole was to be released, he'd have to wait 90 days. So it was a mess up.
crazy man.
Fine mess up, because it was a pleasant surprise. So
a mess up that worked really well, but something else worked really well, Dominic. Holy shit, the ovation for Hangman Page when he came out.
Yeah, wow.
My goodness, it was insane. That's the first time in a long time I've heard a pop like that. Like this, it's reminding me of like mid 98 Goldberg pops, where it's like it feels like the fucking roof is going to come off the place. So I don't know, I was a little skeptical of the idea, just because I think Kenny Omega's really hitting his stride. Dude, by the way, the fact that he still has the Harley Race facial hair is like, dude, that's him. Like, it's perfect. It's like it matches his sleazeball character so well. I was like, I love that
I wonder if he's going to keep it, though. I wonder if he's going to keep it, because
the Bucks didn't.
The Bucks didn't. They removed it. And I just saw that on Twitter. So,
well, I loved the he still had that, but man, like I said, I was skeptical, because I'm like, man, he's really hitting his stride. That him being Omega, really hitting his stride. I mean, we're seeing the best of Omega. We need to let him have a little longer run with the strap. But I mean, like at this point, man, you can't justify not putting the belt on Hangman Adam Page, right?
Right? No, I don't think so. I think you build it right, and you continue it up, and he's still getting that kind of reaction. I think you got to put the belt on him, and you can always put the belt back on Kenny too. And like we were saying, where you create this long-standing grudge rivalry between the two, and you've already have a foundation for that because of how it all started in AEW and that kind of thing. So
I'm not a big fan of like flip-flopping titles between two competitors, but like I feel like if you do it properly, but with those two where they just keep swapping it, and then finally it's like, okay, we need a blow-off gimmick match. I can see that working.
Yeah, I do too. I can too. This is something where you can do that. Like it's obviously like it didn't happen with like Bruno and Billy Graham or certain things like that, or like but it kind of has that vibe almost in a way, right?
Absolutely. Kevin Davis, thank you for joining us, man. We're doing well. Hope you're doing okay. Jonathan, he's the devil in your six. Dominic, let's touch on Tommy End just a little bit more. Herman actually kind of took the words right out of my mouth, Dom. To quote Meatloaf. As Tommy End fan, can't wait to see what he does. So that kind of begs the question, Dominic. Obviously he's going into a program with Cody Rhodes here. What is Alistair Black's future in AEW, in your opinion?
Oh, it's Brat, baby. It's Brat, and it's gonna be good because obviously Cody's a great feud to start him off with because that's one of the top dogs, if not arguably the top dog, minus Kenny. So it's just like you put him against Cody, you're establishing him as where you're positioning him in the company. So to start him off with that is already the good way to do it, because you look at how many times other stars have been brought in, and this is across the board with wrestling, and it's kind of like it's been understated, specifically to like WWE in a lot of ways, and then like even AEW with how they did Miro even and stuff like that. This is a good way to pack a punch right away and make it clear as to where Malakai Black stands in the hierarchy of AEW and where you plan to put him. So I think obviously Cody's a good start. I'd very much like your idea still of the Butcher and Blade and Bunny, like maybe aligning with him and being in that kind of crew, because I think that would be pretty damn cool. Now people will be like, oh, too many factions. Well, don't worry about that at the moment.
I flip-flop now. The more I've been thinking about it, is what about? I mean, well, first of all, I think we could find a home for Abaddon alongside Malakai Black as well, possibly. But here's the other thing to consider, Dom, is like the Undertaker. If we want to position him as like an Undertaker type character, I'm not talking about mystical, as you and I said. He's not like supposed to be a corpse that's reanimated.
Now I think that would be an issue too of putting Abaddon with him too, is a little bit.
Well, so that brings me to my point, which is the Undertaker did much better when he was kind of like this lone wolf character. Like, yes, he was in the Ministry of Darkness and he had success there. He's been in a couple factions. He like tag team with his brother, but when he was just like this single entity, this like unstoppable force, that's when he got over. So I think you can make the argument that the same path might be the right way for Malakai.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely make that argument. You really could. I just think, the looks of the Blade and Butcher and Bunny can kind of coincide with him. And you can definitely get something out of that. But I think you can definitely get something out of them being on their respective owns too. Like, so it's just like I think either way, you really can't go wrong. Now, who just said something about him being in the Dark Order? Somebody in the chat. Herman did. So, like, now if there was the Dark Order from the days of yore, maybe I would say. But, and like, yeah, it does seem like that would be a good fit as the new leader. Like, it brings some intensity and stuff. But here's a couple things. Is Dark Order are baby faces. And I think, that, and they got a pretty good reaction too from that live crowd, Evil Uno and all that stuff. So it's like, it makes sense to have them, have this friendship with Adam Hangman Page, and then kind of go from there. So I wouldn't necessarily pair him with Dark Order. I think that would, wash, like it would muddy the waters, I think, a little bit for not only Malakai, but Dark Order as well. So I think, if they're going to get a new leader, I think it's got to be somebody that's kind of on the good side of things, and to kind of feed off of what they're portraying at the moment, and maybe make them a little have that comedic aspect to them, but not as comedic. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and Hangman Page is kind of the de facto leader as of right now. So it's I don't know necessarily if they need one. I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I think that Malakai Black as a single entity is kind of the way to go here. So actually speaking, let's circle back again, Dominic. I think that's an interesting point was made here. Benjamin is saying, I'm thinking Impact needs their belt back. And Nesha thinks that Sammy is going to be the one to take it off of Kenny. But what about this for a storyline? Maybe Hangman Page goes over against Kenny Omega, but Kenny Omega is still like, hey, look, like you got that championship, but look at all these other ones I have. Like I represent this better organization now, which by the way, Don Callis has an association with Impact. So it would make sense kind of for him to be like, yeah, keep that belt. This is the real belt. And then we get this like two guys, different organizations feuding to maybe unify a belt, which would be wild.
That'd be pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, tonight, obviously, Impact was on. I covered it. And the big story throughout the whole night was like the contract signing at the end of the night between Sami Callihan and Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega got arrested. Don Callis acted like he was assaulted by Sami and put on this like fake footage of him getting attacked and all that stuff. So that was the ongoing story. And then ultimately the contract was signed for Slammiversary. Sami Callihan became a free man because of the false footage, and then put Kenny through the table at the end of the night. So that was how the show ended. So, but yeah, I don't think Sammy's the best fit to be Impact's champion moving forward. I don't think if you're going to put somebody over on Kenny, I wouldn't pick him. I talked about that last week. I just don't think him and Moose are the guys to do it. Should be the guys to do it, in my personal opinion. But I think they should build new star to take it from Kenny.
When is Slammiversary?
Not this Saturday. It's July 17th. So next Saturday.
Okay. So, the fact that here's the thing that always seems to happen in pro wrestling, and that's, the guy who's going to go over in the match ordinarily gets his ass beat in the lead up to the match. So the fact that Sami Callihan is putting Kenny Omega through a table here, I don't know. I suspect that Kenny Omega is going to retain this belt, especially if inevitably he is going to have to drop that belt to Hangman Page, which is seeming like it has to happen at this point.
Yeah. And, like, obviously, Impact's their own promotion and stuff like that. But, like, if Kenny were to lose before he lost the AEW world title, wouldn't that kind of, I don't know, downplay him losing the AEW title a little bit? In a way, like it could Impact,
but I think it like kind of depends on the angle you take. It's like you do the old. Actually, we saw some NWO talk here. You do the old Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, like, hey, just go out and tell them that you won, even though you lost. And so like if it's some classic heel stuff, because the fans at home are like, no, you lost, like, so it kind of gets you a little low-key heat. So I don't know. I think that it really depends on the approach. Nesha is saying, Dominic, there's not too many other options other than Sami Callihan. Who else would you put the strap on?
I mean, that's the issue, I think, right now is there are future champions that you could put it on, but I just don't think they've been built up enough at the moment. So guys like I've mentioned before, like Joe Doring, Jake something, Chris Bay, who was the other one that's a big name? Did I say W. Morrissey? I think he would be very good.
You said that on the last one, yeah.
I said that on the last one. So like guys like that would be very good to do. You just need a new guy at the top. Even like Brian Myers is great, but I mean he's just in this like mid card kind of storyline at the moment. But I think
they're not doing enough with him. I think that he has all the capability to be a really strong champion, but I don't think that he's been put there yet.
And that's the issue. I think they're not there yet, and they need to work at getting there. But I would not if you're putting your chips behind somebody, I wouldn't be putting it behind Sami Callihan to do it, because he's already had that opportunity, and it didn't pop anything. It really didn't. And to have him be the one to be Kenny just doesn't make sense to me.
We got a couple to talk about here, Dom. Benjamin was asking, how long has Braun been gone from WWE? Not just saying not long enough. I believe that his contract expires, and like Buddy Murphy, I think they're up at the same time, which would be somewhere around September.
Yeah, maybe early September, right? Because
early or mid, I can't remember which. All right, let's see. Dominic, what's this business about Tessa Blanchard? We've had Jonathan bring it up.
Yeah, well, Tessa, has not been signed by anybody. And her last big stint was with Impact as their world champion. Wanted to beat Sami Callihan for the title, I think.
Did she? I know that she left under auspicious circumstances. Did she ever drop the belt to anybody?
No, the belt got sent back to them.
I mean, that's kind of interesting. Obviously, if any of what is being said about her is true, as far as like her stance regarding race, if any of that's true, then she has no place in the wrestling business, in my opinion. That being said, if it's not true, then I can't think of anybody you could bring into an organization who would be a bigger coup, right? I mean, this is somebody who still has a legitimate claim to the World Heavyweight Championship that Kenny Omega is holding. Yeah,
it's true. Now, people might be referring her for the mystery opponent for Deonna Purrazzo because, hold on a second. My dog is caught on my cord.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Come on, Richard, what's going on?
Hey, James, in the meantime, thank you so much for plugging us. Appreciate that. You can follow this podcast at 2 Dynamite Dudes. Follow WrestleZone.com at WrestleZone.com. Follow me, Marcus D'Angelo, at Marcus P. D'Angelo, and Dominic at Dominic D'Angelo. Also, we do another podcast, as James is pointing out. It's WCW Rewritten. Dominic, you didn't make the announcement today, you piece of shit.
I did. But, hey, we're going to... Rewritten's coming back, so I'm in Philly for the weekend. And so... Marcus and I will be doing a live version of Rewritten on Monday this week.
That's right. One day late, so we apologize for the lateness, but is what it is, man. Dominic's going out there beating the streets, trying to establish himself as the greatest wrestling journalist on the face of the planet.
Oh man, geez, that's quite the hype there.
Let's keep looking here. Nesha, she took pictures of her daughter with the wolf pack hat and wolf earlier. I remember when those wolves came out, I was like, man, I want one. I was like 11 or 12. I was like, ooh, I want one.
A stuffed wolf?
Yeah, I'd take it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's hammer on, Dominic. So I think the other thing that we want to talk about here, we don't have a ton of time left because we're trying to get this thing wrapped up relatively soon. But the other, big thing that we want to talk about, main event, Dominic, we had the Young Bucks taking on Eddie Kingston and Penta El Zero Miedo, and it was quite a spectacle. What did you think of it, Dom?
I liked it, man. It was wild, and it was like what people kind of made us think about last week is like, oh, what a wild, schmozzy finish basically or something. But I mean, it's a street fight. It's the Bucks dressed as the way they were. I said that they look like they were just peeled out of an LFO video from the late 90s, with the jorts that are skinny jorts and still the bandanas all tied around them and stuff, and just like looking like a bunch of guys that should not really be in a street fight. But
yeah, my wife happened to be watching that part of the show, and she was like, those shorts are so tight on them. She was like, I can't believe they can move.
I know, right?
I know, it's gross.
It was great, though. I liked it.
It was. And these guys are getting pretty good at getting heat, I must say. Here's part of my issue with it. Great athleticism and ring work displayed by everybody, but it was just like, it was such chaos the whole time. And then you got Brandon Cutler completely overselling with his stupid cold spray stuff. Right, which is just become absurd. And then also it's you can kind of fucking set your watch, right? You're like, okay, right about now the Good Brothers should be coming out, and then they come out, so it's we just keep seeing the same kind of thing every time. And I'm not trying to say it was a bad match. I'm saying it was a pretty huge schmoz. And that kind of stuff, in small doses, fine. But if this is the sort of thing that's going to be happening every week, once a week, which seems like is a thing, not great.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen next week if I were to make a guess. But I think I think you get away with it for a couple times. Like, last week it was MJF and Sammy, and a lot of schmoz there, and like I can get an argument against that, but like it does make sense from a storytelling perspective of what they did. But yeah, I think last week we really wanted to see a straight up finish. The street fight kind of makes a little bit more sense because of the circumstances and all that kind of thing. But yeah,
well, Nesha's saying she's glad they weren't pimps this week at least, which is nice. But instead, they did their best Joe Dirt impression. Dominic,
I can see down your shirt.
Dominic, dang!
You saw my girlfriend, you'd shit yourself.
Herman is saying Young Bucks giving every tag team Triple H treatment, which is a funny comment. Do you feel that they're bearing the other tag?
No, I don't think so. I think Eddie got the clear-cut visual pin and submission at 2 points in time. Penta always looks like a legit badass.
And they did put him over last week.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would not say that. I do think they are your best tag team, so you have to treat them like your best tag team. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And
we got to get it so it means more, whenever they do finally drop the belt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dominic, how about Strowman versus Brian Cage? I assume there's like 10 cages out there. I'm gonna assume it's Brian Cage. Should we book it, Dom?
I don't even know we should really book Braun in AEW whatsoever.
I think we can do better. I don't know that AEW necessarily needs Braun Strowman. He presents the same issue that Paul White presented when he was an in-ring performer. It's like, okay, you can do all the giant guy, big guy, little guy stuff, big guy stuff, but like when you get down to kind of like brass tacks, it's like, okay, where does this guy wind up?
Where's this big bastard going? Like,
exactly. There's only so many storylines you can do with a guy like him.
And heck, you already have some established big men too, like a Lance Archer and Miro to an extent as a big man. And then who's the other big man we got, Marcus? There's another big man we got kicking around.
I don't know. I will say though that shit with like the MMA guy and
you did not, Marcus. Come on.
Coming out. No, the guy cut a great promo. It all felt very Pete Rose to me.
Yeah, how about it?
That's how the whole thing. That was the vibe of the whole thing. The guy took a nice bump. He gave a good promo.
Dude, that Dan Lambert's great. He's on MLW, he did commentary for Tom Lawler's Filthy Island and stuff like that. And he's just so good. He's so good. He's this hateable asshole guy. And he really played into that this week. I popped pretty good when he went in there and just cut okay, I don't give a shit. I'm supposed to be ringside, but you know what? I'm getting in the ring and I'm bitching about it. AEW. It was pretty damn funny.
Yeah, it was fine, but I'm like, okay, what purpose did it serve? Where are they? Is this guy going to be a weekly character? Is this going to be are we going to get one of these MMA people in the ring against Lance Archer? It's I don't know. So if there's a payoff, then fine. But I just get the feeling they're like, hey, this guy's in town. Let's get him to cut a fucking promo.
Well, I mean, I think you get the rub too with Jorge Masvidal and Amanda Nunes at ringside too. I think that was part of it. So yeah, it's just it kind of made it just gave being in Miami and giving it more of that big event feel to it. So no, I was fine with it, man. I thought it was a good segment, and there was something I wanted to say in addition to that, I thought, but I can't remember. Dominic
Nesha saying Braun could fight our friend Eddie. I don't want our good personal friend Eddie anywhere near Braun Strowman.
No, unless he's putting his shoulders to the mat. That's it.
That should be the only thing. But no, yeah. I think that if Braun were to come out, so no, we're doing the Eddie shout outs. Good, close, personal friend of the show, Dominic, friend of the podcast, Eddie Kingston. Podcast. Yeah. Hey, if you guys didn't check out, I feel like a shameless shill right now. If you guys didn't check out that podcast, go give it a listen. Breaking news. A lot of people, I don't know if you guys saw my Twitter post, a lot of the early buzz is that it is the greatest wrestling podcast ever recorded.
Ever
recorded.
And there's a lot of wrestling podcasts out there.
A lot of buzz, a lot of talking about it. Dominic, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we do the old sign off?
I think we got might be a couple things, especially Marcus Britt Baker. in the Saudi Arabia dig.
I'll tell you what, though, she was really coming hard with that comment.
My goodness, I loved it. I loved it. Hey, man, you reap what you sow. You're going to sign a 10-year blood money deal? You better get ready to get called out on it.
Does this, in your opinion, does this affect Adam Cole's situation in WWE?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
I don't think it could be great for him.
Well, Mark, look, listen, here's the thing. Triple H and HBK love Adam Cole. He's on NXT. There's always been the argument that if he was to get called up to the main roster under Vince's auspice, then he would not be utilized right in the first place. So I don't think it's an issue. I really don't. I just thought it was a great thing to do. I was really happy about it. Now, a lot of other people be like, "Oh, that's low," or come on, again to that whole point of like, what people were upset about, like Eddie for like cutting the promo at the end of Dynamite.
Which is why I think she made a comment in the first place. I think it was because Eddie did it, and there was so much backlash that she was like, "It's part of the wrestling business.
It's part of the business. It's part of the business." And listen, you're gonna open doors like that, where you're gonna make a deal with Saudi Arabia after they dismembered a journalist that worked for the Washington Post. Listen, that's
like, look, not to mention the whole, like, we're trying to do the whole female empowerment thing in pro wrestling, which is great. My favorite pro wrestler right now is a female, Thunder Rosa, my favorite pro wrestler on the face of the planet. But we're trying to do this female empowerment thing, and the women are forced to wear like this crazy garb if they're going to compete over there. It's not right. It's sexist. It's clearly a huge cash grab. So I 100% side with Britt Baker.
And look, when they did that WWE Evolution, I wrote a column about it when that happened, and because WWE Evolution took place 5 days before they went over to Saudi Arabia, and it was just like, okay, how hypocritical
on the nose.
Yeah, it's just like
super on the nose.
Come on. Yeah. And so I was A-okay with what Britt did. I popped pretty big time for that. So
yeah, I know. I think it's awesome. I'm glad that she did it. And like you said, Dominic, it kind of like raises the tide across the wrestling business to do that kind of thing. Because next thing you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we start hearing like little digs and comments on,
especially after something like that.
There's got to be, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm a little worried for Adam Cole. I know that he's like kind of protected by Triple H and Shawn, but thing is, we all remember what happened to Triple H after the curtain call. They felt that his buddies were hurting the business, and they took it out on him. I could see Adam Cole being forced to do a job to somebody embarrassing in the near future.
If it is, they're cutting off their nose to spite their face. That's what's going to happen, because Adam Cole's such a talent. He's so good on the mic. He's so good in the ring. He's got a great look. The only thing that Vince is going to make us think about is his size and stuff. But so if they were to do damage to Adam Cole simply because of that, it just really, really shows how petty and counterproductive they are. So
right.
Another thing we should touch upon: Jon Moxley returning next week to defend the United States IWGP title against Carl Anderson. Pretty cool. Carl Anderson did a pretty nice, rock solid promo to get it off. And, you kind of want a little bit more build, I would think, to it. Ultimately, over time, like that's literally like the first time, maybe ever. I mean, I don't think ever. I think we've heard him talk before on Dynamite, but it just kind of feels that way. Then
it's a hot shotted angle. I think that Eddie Kingston, our good friend, I think that Jon Moxley made mention probably to Tony Khan that he's ready to go back to work, and Tony Khan's like, okay, I gotta book him in an angle. Carl Anderson, I do. Like he's just like kind of making these choices. But look, here's the other end of it. Here's the other thing to think about: is maybe Moxley is not ready to come back yet. But he needs to drop that belt to somebody who works in Japan relatively often.
Right.
So maybe he's just going to make a quick little return to drop this belt, do the favors, as they say. I don't know. So I could see this one going either way. Obviously, if Mox loses, we probably won't see him for a little bit. But if he wins, maybe he's just like, hey, I'm ready. You know, I got a grip on this parenting thing. Time to go back to work.
Yep. Go back to the old grind.
I'll tell you what, my wife, if we were at this stage, they've like got like a month old, 2 month old, something like that.
Yeah, how would she feel about you in a bit?
Yeah, if I just show up at the door of the nursery and I've got like a suitcase, I'm like, well, I'm gonna be gone for a couple weeks. She'd be like, I hate you.
Harry, Cape, and Cats in the Cradle start fucking playing.
Right. Yeah, she was bummed out when I had to go back to work. So I can't imagine if I was just like, see you in 3 weeks.
I don't think Mox is going to be back on a regular basis at this point. You know, maybe he will be. Like, that's the thing is like, you know, if you're in that environment as wrestlers or personalities involved with wrestling, you kind of have a basis for how your schedule is going to go in the first place. And yeah, sure, you know, having a baby is a huge life-changing thing, but you know, you still have the rhythm of life that you live. So if you're in the thick of balancing that act, you can maybe balance it even with the kid. It's just a big adjustment. So
well, look, you know, they have this kid while knowing that he is a big part of the wrestling business, you know, so it's like, I'm sure if this discussion happened beforehand, they're living well as a result of the wrestling business. So I'm sure he's fine to just resume his life.
Yeah. Something else we should really mention is the face-off between MJF and Jericho.
Yeah, actually, James just said he feels that Jericho is going to fulfill his AEW contract and go back to WWE and get the Hall of Fame ring. I don't know. He's kind of been trying like hell to burn bridges over there. But that being said, Vince McMahon forgives everything. I think that Chris Jericho is kind of trying to cement his legacy in AEW. I don't see him leaving, but I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't place a bet one way or the other.
Yeah, I would place a bet. I would say, hey, he's not leaving. Now, I've heard before.
How long is his contract?
Oh, I think it's probably pretty soon up, but I think he's really tied his wagon to AEW. For him to go back to WWE, it just seems like it does. Like, look at what WWE has done with people that come back from Kurt Angle to, you know, you name your legacy star.
Yeah, they tend to bury them, especially once they go somewhere else and have a little success. And you know, Herman's saying Mox will return. Probably not, man. If you listen to the episode of Talk Is Jericho that Mox was on, he had a lot of hatred toward WWE in the way that he was treated there.
Yeah, and frustration. Just expressed a lot of frustration about it. You know.
I mean, it sounded like a miserable place to work. So I think Mox is happy where he is. I suspect Jericho's happy where he is. I think he's getting compensated very, very well. So I don't see him.
And look, he agented. I can't even say that right. But agented that match or that segment between Tully, FTR. Not FTR. Well, yeah, FTR was in it, but Conan and Tully and stuff like that. Like he's got that freedom to do that kind of stuff and put his fingerprints on things.
Not to mention commentating.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Plus the commentary stuff. Like, and look at how much he shines during that stuff and everything. So I honestly, you know, people have made bets. I think Mark Madden made a bet that he would go back to WWE to close out his career because like that's like the ultimate place to be. I could see him not doing that. I really could see him not doing it. I think, yeah, he'll get his gold ring, his Hall of Fame ring. I think that will happen. But I wouldn't.
You know, Mark Madden's podcast lasted about 45 minutes. I don't think he can trust anything he has to say. Dom, anyways, that segment between MJF and Chris Jericho, I thought it was a good build. This is one of those ones, man, where it's like, again, could go one way or the other. It depends on your perspective. It's like, okay, MJF is kind of the rising star, certainly a world title holder within the next few years. But he's kind of been getting the Jericho's goat this whole time. So does MJF go over? Does Jericho get his heat back, so to speak? Now, that being said, Jericho did a lot of jobs for Orange Cassidy not that long ago. So he clearly is not a mark for himself. He's willing to put people over and further the business. So I think Jericho's going to do the right thing here. I think ultimately MJF is going to go over.
I think so too. And I think Jericho's story of success against MJF will be played out in these Herculean efforts he'll be doing moving forward. You're a big God of War fan, Marcus. I was a huge Greek mythology fan too, just like MJF. So I liked him using that, and like this is almost like this whole kind of that kind of vibe going on. It's pretty unique for wrestling, I would say.
I think it would have been a little bit better if he didn't tell us that that's what it was. If he just gave him Herculean tasks without making the reference. I say that because of like shows like Sons of Anarchy. It was a play on Hamlet by Shakespeare, but it's not like they ever just like he was like holding a skull at one point and talking to it. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't quite on the nose. It was just like very clearly a reference to that. So I don't know. I think
my pushback against that is that wrestling.
How many people know Greek mythology?
Yeah, and wrestling's a different medium too. So it's just like to incorporate that into it makes it already unique. You don't need, you're not fucking. It's not fucking Breaking Bad here, where it's just like you have weeks on end to cultivate a story and a theme, where with an hour and no live audience. There's a lot of different elements that come into play in wrestling in comparison to, a television series that's on network and has.
And you have a point. It's kind of like wrestling sort of splits the difference between a TV show and a stage play, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like, and on the stage, you want to make everything perfectly, completely obvious, giant movements, huge facial expressions.
Now it would be very different, Marcus, if they pulled something from wrestling's past and like hit you over the head with it. Instead of like, what they do instead, where like, Tony Khan will pull something from wrestling's past, not blatantly say, hey, this is where I got it from. Maybe he'll say it in a podcast or something, but he's not going to say that on the television product. So it's like, now that'd be a different story. But if you're pulling something in from like, hey, this is what Atticus Finch did in fucking To Kill a Mockingbird. Like I don't think that's a big deal. It's just a kind of a cool, neat, unexpected tie-in. So I'm okay with Herculean just being there. So.
I don't know. I think I would have liked it the other way. Dom, make us figure it out.
Nah, you're an idiot though.
Hey, I think that you are a mark. Charles Cox saying the Young Bucks suck. Nesha loves the idea of somebody holding a skull, Dominic. So suck on that.
English. He kind of maybe did something like
Seems like a thing that Malakai Black might do. You never know.
Yeah. Throw skulls at you.
That'll be jumping the shark.
He should take a skull, throw it, and then give it the black mass.
Or set it on fire and throw it at somebody.
Like Shang Tsung.
Yes.
We're
going to tweets.
Real quick one. How about with this too? The intergender tag match. Orange Cassidy tagging with Kris Statlander against the Bunny and the Blade.
Yeah, Kris Statlander stuck out like a sore thumb in that one for me, man. She was so good. Her 450 splash near the end, her finisher.
450 area 451 splash. What a great finishing name.
And her finish, which looks absolutely devastating. She was head and shoulders the best participant in that match. And again, somebody who just gets better and better every time she hits the stage.
She stole that match.
Yep.
No, it was a good match, and it was cool that they like teased intergender wrestling at first, and it didn't happen. And then you got a brief little thing of that when she did the 450 area 451. I thought it was a cool way to do it, and I think it was neat in regards to building Orange and Statlander's relationship a little bit. And dude, how about that stalling suplex she did too?
Oh my God, awesome! JR said it, and I was thinking it. I was like, oh man, like the British Bulldog. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was cool. It was a good match. One of the ones I've enjoyed Orange being involved in more than most others. For the most part, I don't know. I don't know what it is about him. I just don't like him. I don't like the gimmick. I don't like his ring work for the most part. I'm just not a big fan of his.
Yeah, Marcus,
this was a good one.
I don't know what it is about you. I just don't like you.
Oh well, yeah, we're just trying to hurt feelings now, Dom.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up, and I'll give my star rating, and we can give our MVPs.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
What is your Marcus Meltzer rating for the evening?
Dom, with everything that happened here, some of the great matches, some of the great moments, it's hard not to give this one a great score. Dom, this week, solid 8.5.
My goodness, that's a high Marcus Meltzer rating. And we didn't even talk about Andrade's debut in the ring.
Oh my God, we are remiss not to talk about Andrade. Looked like $1,000,000 out there. Matt Sydal was a perfect dance partner. His entrance was just like eye popping. Him being Andrade, he comes out with a black mask gimmick.
Yeah,
Including the pinstripe suit like Black Mask used to wear.
it's true.
So it was just really cool, really eye catching. And then he gets in there and it's like, man, this guy is a star. Awesome ring work, cool finish. Matt Sydal was the perfect dance partner. Dude, Matt Sydal has got it. I say it all the time, but I really mean it. I think that he's awesome, cool look, very smooth movements. It's you've got something there with both guys. The right guy went over, obviously. Andrade's got to get that win. But man, Matt Sydal came out of that match, in my opinion, just still looking great.
Future AEW Cruiserweight Champion Matt Sydal.
Oh, please let him be the future AEW Cruiserweight Champion. She didn't like, and Nesha did not like Andrade's ring gear. I'll tell you what, I was hoping that his pants were going to be pull away just like the top was, and he'd have like regular trunks under there. But I was like, oh, okay, he's going to wrestle. And like his father-in-law Ric Flair near the end of WCW just come out with like his fucking like suit pants on and fight. He was really phoning it in at that point.
He was very it was very Reggie Jackson, Bernie Williams, Yankees.
Yes, yeah, it was interesting. But no, I want him to wear regular ring gear as well.
Yeah, I'm with you too on that. I didn't think his ring gear sucked. I do prefer wrestling ring gear.
Hey, maybe the seamstress was like, look, I can't get all this done. You gotta just wear those pants this week. Next week they'll be tearaway.
Yeah, well, you'll be fine next week. We'll get you covered. We'll get you covered.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Mark, who's your MVP?
It's hard for me to not say Andrade just because I love him already. He came into this not knowing a ton about him, but I'm a big fan of his right now. But I have to go with Kris Statlander. She really stuck out.
Wow, yeah, she really did. She really did. Just for the whole circumstance of it all, how could I not give it to Malakai Black? How could I not? Unexpected. 30 days, he's there. Boom. Kicks Cody, kicks Arn, the Enforcer. What the heck? I gotta give it to Malakai Black.
All right, you're going Malakai Black. Nesha saying Malakai Black. Herman was not all that impressed by Andrade. I don't know, man. It's I think more than like having like a 5-star Dave Meltzer Tokyo Dome extravaganza. It was more like, okay, this is the debut of a new character, which is a very old school thing anymore, because for the most part people just show up. There's been a lot of build up to this, and then it was more like his ring presence for me, where it's just like this guy comes out and he just like kind of commands your attention. And so I mean, this was one of those matches where like this guy comes out in his get up and he like sheds it and he looks like $1,000,000. And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I want to see where this thing goes.
Yeah. So you know what? It's like, even if it wasn't like a huge eye popping debut or anything like that, it's still something that they can fan the flame of. I think they set it up okay, and like Andrade did look very, very good. Matt Sydal looked very, very good. I don't think it like necessarily stole the show or anything like that. I think it still laid a good groundwork for what they're going to do with Andrade moving forward and stuff like that. So they positioned him well, and I think that's what really matters. So, yeah, dude, it was a good show. I really, really liked it. I had a lot of fun watching it. From Tony Schiavone's reaction to Britt Baker's Saudi dig to, just some neat aspects to it overall. Eddie Kingston did great in the match, and they really put him over, even in the loss. So, very, very happy with this episode.
Me too. And we saw it on Twitter. I believe that you liked it or shared it, but somebody said, if this gap between WWE and AEW continues to grow, as far as like the quality of show or close, as far as the quality of show that they're putting on, there's no way that AEW doesn't lap them.
Yeah, Todd Martin from PW Torch said that. So, and he's very good. So, yeah, I agree with him. And yeah, it's like, and the ratings were a little bit down for AEW this week. After for a big show being back on the road.
It's a weird time of year too. I was just listening to 83 Weeks podcast, and Bischoff was saying like, look, every summer ratings just drop, and it just is what it is. You just got to get used to it.
We just had Independence Day and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people are out and about doing stuff. People would prefer to be out as late as they can instead of sitting down to watch a wrestling program.
It'll be interesting to see. Like, I mean, obviously, like I don't know the DVR numbers, but like that's been a big thing for Dynamite too, is DVR numbers. So
I think Dynamite's going to be just fine.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. It'll be okay. Gosh darn it. Yeah, man. It was a good show. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's going to do it. We appreciate you guys joining us. We'll see you Monday for WCW Rewritten. And yeah, I mean, let's all just enjoy it. You know, this is a really fun time to be a wrestling fan. Something that we haven't got to experience in like more than a decade for sure. So it's a really cool feeling.
And yeah, there's a lot of unpredictability going on just across the industry in general. Like, you know, I'm headed to MLW this weekend here. Tomorrow, I'll be making the trip.
Take some photos, Dom.
Well, I'll try to take some photos. I don't want to, take photos that I'm not allowed to take photos of.
Well, no, of course.
But what was I going to say, though? Oh, but like they've got a deal with Vice TV and things like that. And they're having like names like Davey Richards coming in and all that kind of thing. So, and then you have this kind of like these barbs getting thrown back and forth. Well, from AEW side getting thrown at WWE. And I think it's opening the doors for a lot of more cool, edgy stuff happening. So
I hope they keep doing it.
Yeah, I keep at it. I like it. I don't.
And look, we see the dial move now that somebody like Alistair Black just shows up on AEW. I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's the formula, Dom. Periodically bringing in new talent, rotating talent, cutting talent that isn't really being utilized. I think that's the proper formula for professional wrestling.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%, man. So I got to plug a couple things. I had a huge interview 2 weeks ago, almost 2 weeks ago, none other than Henry Winkler. So the Fonz, you might know him as the Emmy Award from the Emmy Award winning, where he won the Emmy with Barry on the HBO. But dude, he was in a 1978 pro wrestling movie called The One and Only. And holy smokes, it was awesome. I got to talk to him for 30 minutes about it. He's one of the nicest people I've ever interviewed. And that says a lot because there's a lot of nice wrestlers out there. And he was super duper nice and generous with his time. Really fascinating conversation. I highly recommend checking out the movie itself too. RJ City introduced me to it. So
again, it's called The One and Only, 1978.
Yep, 1978. So please check that out. Also, I interviewed Arya Davari, who was just released by WWE on June 25th. And we at WrestleZone happened to be his first interview. So it was a very cool conversation. He gives details about being released while he was on vacation. And he talks about his time in 205 Live and how him and Tony Nese were a consistent part of the show. And then in addition to that, he talks about having future plans to tag further with Nese outside of WWE. So very cool. Very talented guy. If you didn't get to check out his Davari De Niro vignette that he put on social media, check that out because it's awesome. It's fucking cool. So he talks about that too and how he pitched that to Vince McMahon. He went to Vince and pitched it to him. So he talks about that as well. So definitely give that a check out and look out this weekend right before Battle Riot 3 hits the airwaves. We're going to have our interview with Davey Richards. And he talks about returning to the ring too after a 5-year hiatus or so, and gives a lot of details. He lives a fascinating life as well because he's not only a trained EMT, trained paramedic, he's a firefighter, and he also is studying to become a doctor. So he kept busy on his time off, but he's back, baby. And it's a very good interview too. We talk about that and heavy metal music and all that kind of stuff. So check that out this Saturday coming. It should drop. So, Marcus, did you say how they follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, follow me at Marcus P. D'Angelo. Follow this podcast, Two Dynamite Dudes, at Two Dynamite Dudes. Follow my slapdick brother over there, Dominic, at Dominic D'Angelo, and follow WrestleZone at WrestleZone.com. Go to WrestleZone.com for all of your wrestling news needs. And guys, thank you all for joining us. We really do love interacting with you guys every week. Sorry it's been a short one. Nesha, glad you love the show. She wants to be honest sometime. That would be cool. We'd love to do something
you're running her, you'll get a call in. We'll have you in for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, we should do like a call-in thing, Dom.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can figure that out. But yeah,
I don't know. The one time Matt Hardy was on PW Torch and got a call about if he ever got his dick caught in a water bottle once. So we don't want any of that happening.
I think that we can trust our followers here, Dominic.
Yeah, we can.
But I'll answer the question if somebody needs to know. I've never experienced that.
I didn't ask it. I didn't.
But in any case, guys, we do love interacting with you guys every week. Thanks for joining us. Sorry it had to be kind of an abbreviated episode this week, but Dominic's got to go out there and sow them wrestling oats.
I know, back in my old stomping grounds of Philadelphia, baby. And then I got to be up at 5:30 to get ready and go take the train for a 7-hour train trip.
Are you being Jimmy Hart right now?
Yeah. Oh, baby, I'm gonna be there. MLW Battle Ride 3. Woo!
All right. I think we're both getting punchy. Let's call it a night.
Jeez, I got lots still to do.
Yeah, guys, reach out to us on Twitter. Anytime you want to talk, we'll always respond to you. Send us messages. Just tag us and stuff. We're always happy to interact with our little community here.
Yeah. Thanks, James. Thanks, Nesha. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Yeah, Benjamin, Herman, we really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to us. So we'll see you guys next week right here on Dynamite Dudes.
Dynamite Dudes
with Attitude. Later, guys.
Yeah. Happy birthday, everybody.
Happy birthday.